Hey everybody, it's Angela and I am back with another process video. And on this layout I am going to do a portrait of my granddaughter, and I've already done a very faint line drawing that you can't really hardly see, so I didn't include that in the video. I just am going to go straight into where I'm starting to do the shading. And for this I am starting just with the hair, mostly because it's in the upper left hand corner, and that way my hand won't drag over what I'm drawing. So a lot of times I like, since I'm right-handed, I like to start in my upper left-hand corner and then draw across towards the right, just for less smudging. And you don't have to do it that way. You can start wherever you're inspired to start, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if there's an actual way to do this. I just kind of do it the way that works for me. And so here I am, I'm just kind of figuring out the ear, and I didn't really like the shape of it there, so I'm just going in and redrawing it. And the sketch that I do is just very simple, that I start with, and so I make a lot of corrections and changes as I'm going along. And I'm following the hair, the way the hair falls, and so all my strokes go with the strands of hair and how they're positioned. And I'm just going in and I put a lot of graphite where there's the darkest shades on her hair, and I leave some portions lighter where the highlights would be hitting her head. And I'm just using this little rolled up piece of paper called a tortillon, I believe, and it just helps me move the graphite out and have some different shading, from a light shading to a dark shading, and bring all that kind of 3D effect to life. And now I'm working on the eyes. You can see I'm drawing in the darkest point, which is the pupil, and then pulling out where the brows are. And because she's still an infant, she doesn't have too much of a bridge to her nose, so that kind of dips in there. Now I'm putting in the colors in her eyes, and that'll really make her look out from the page, and you'll kind of see where, when you get the eyes in, you can kind of tell where you're at and whether you're liking it or not. And she has brown eyes, so they're really dark in the photo. They almost look completely black. You can't really see too much difference between the pupil and the iris. So I'm going in and just putting in some shading in the eye sockets to make those kind of dip in, putting the hair on the other side there, and just a hint of her ear. You can't really see the ear on that right hand side. Going in, doing the darkest point of the nostrils, then doing the shading underneath the nose to give that a three-dimensional look. And on the lips, a lot of times the upper lip is darker than the bottom, and you don't need to draw all the lines in for the lips. You just kind of draw in the darker points and then use shading for the bottom lip to show that. Sometimes you don't want to draw a solid line. You want to leave gaps in the lines, and your brain will fill in where there's no actual line, but it looks a little more realistic if you don't outline everything. And then she has a little necklace on, so I'm just putting that in there because you can kind of see that coming underneath her neck in the photo. And then I'm putting some shading, and I'm just going to let it kind of fade out on the bottom there. I'm just going to do her face, because the photo that I'm going to actually scrapbook, I kind of go back and forth, but I go ahead and scrapbook a Christmas photo of her that's kind of dark, and you can't see her face really well, because it was taken indoors. So that way this layout has a really good, close-up of her face, but then it also has the picture of her, enjoying her Christmas. And that would be her first Christmas, so I wanted to make sure and get a layout documented for that. I'm just going and putting some shading underneath the cheeks. It gives the cheeks that little, she's got kind of little chubby cheeks. And then I'm going back in and picking out my darkest spots and just making sure that they are really dark, around in the eye and in the hair, and just kind of darkening those areas up. And I really like how the drawing turned out. The layout overall, it's not my most favorite layout, but I do like the line drawing on it. I kind of struggled with this a little bit. I don't know why, but maybe it was just one of those off days or whatever. But yeah, I like how it turns out in the end. But yeah, it's not my most favorite layout. I have to be honest about that. I've got some shimmers ink and just doing a little bit of inking on here, although most of it winds up getting covered up when I do my layering. But I wanted to put a little bit of ink since that is just a white paper, which is the easiest to do a line drawing on. I just wanted to kind of beef it up with some color and pattern there. And there's the two pictures that I go back and forth with, and I do go with this Christmas one. Like I said, it's kind of dark, so you can't see her face really well, so I'm kind of glad I used it on this layout where there's a close-up portrait of her. And so this collection, this is a Christmas collection from my mind's eye called Sugar Plum, which is a really pretty collection. It's got the teals and blues and a little bit of green and red and kind of a little bit more non-traditional colors. And I've also got these like Project Life cards that go with it. So I'm kind of looking through those to see if there's anything I can include in there. And I don't have a ton of this collection, and maybe that's why it was a little bit more difficult for me to do this. I probably should have started pulling things from my stash, but I was trying to kind of stick with the collection, and I think that made it a little bit harder for me. So here's the stickers that come in the paper pack, and I love that joy because it is kind of an off-white color, which kind of goes with the watercolor paper I used in the background. But the collection does have both cream and white in it. And then it has a lot of those gold accents like that snowflake, and all the papers I think have some gold accents on it. So I'm looking through for some word art to go with this, and some more layering to put behind my photo. And just looking at the colors, I was trying to find something. I wasn't sure if I wanted to put white directly against the cream background or not, so I kind of went back and forth on that. And I like that fa la 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 card. And I like the touches of blue. They kind of go with the shimmers product that I put in the background, although as you can see, more and more of that, my shimmers is disappearing back there. And so I'm kind of liking, just sticking more with the blues and reds and just a touch of this kind of a green color in the Marion Bright sticker, just to bring in one extra color. And so I start sticking my layers down. I was kind of glad to do this Christmas photo now before winter's completely, done, although it is kind of spring already, but I kind of wanted to do winter before we get into the summer months. So I'm liking that, and I have the brad pack that goes with this, so I wanted to pull a few of those out to give a little bit more dimension on the layout. So I'm going to go ahead and make the cluster at the upper left, and then I'm going to make another cluster kind of at the top of my photo there. And I'm going to anchor that snowflake with a brad, but I'm also, I believe I put one in the bottom left-hand corner underneath that photo as well. So I'm just going to use my fine line bottle with some Scotch tacky glue in it to go ahead and put this snowflake accent down, and then I'm going to put this brad right in the center of it. And then I like this brad because it has some of the cream in the background and brings in some of the other colors, so I'm putting that at the top of my photo. And then I'm also going to include a brad up here. So So I just go ahead and trim that off, and I'm liking that. I'm liking the layers. And then I wanted something a little more organic besides just that snowflake, and I have that round joy sticker in the top and the round brads. So I went ahead and fussy cut this card with the wreath and cut the wreath in half just to bring in, it has a little bit more of the green that's in that Marian Bright sticker, and that kind of brings that around, and it just brings a little more organic feel, something not as straight lined as some of my other layers. And then I want to mount my whole layout on this red piece of cardstock from the same collection. So that really brings the whole layout together. Once you frame it, just like any piece of art, once you put a frame on it, it really changes it up. So I really love having that red paper on there. And then I have the brad pack that goes with this collection as well. And I'm just using the green and teal and a gold, I believe, in just a few different places around the layout. And because most of my Shimmers mixed media product got covered up, I decided to go and just put some gold Heidi Swap sprinkles on there just to kind of liven that background up. So I'm just covering up the line drawing and my photo and putting some of those, and that really makes a big difference too. I think between framing it and then putting the sprinkles on there, that really makes it to where I like the layout. But I do love how the drawing turned out, and I'm so glad that I got a layout done of her first Christmas. And so that is my finished layout, and I had a lot of fun doing the drawing. And if you have any questions on it or anything, just leave me a comment down below. And there's the close-up. And I love this Sugar Plum collection by My Mind's Eye. It's really cute. And there's the brads, the enamel dots, the layering, and the touches of gold. So it turned out really cute. So thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, if you have any questions on any of the drawings that I've been doing lately, just let me know. I'm going to be doing some more colored pencil and maybe, mixing that with some more watercolor or something here in the future. I'm just having fun playing in my scrap room. And so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you again later. Bye.